Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching this live from. My name is Denise Bellel, and thank you for being here with me today. I have a guest that is in transit, I guess. She's not here. She's actually in Spain, and they're never with me, but she hasn't showed up yet, so she must have a little glitch on her end. So I decided to start anyway because the show must go on regardless of what happened. I hope that she'll jump in as I go forward. Well, because I had no theme today, I'll first start to introduce this show that I call It's All Good. Look who's here for a chat. And my name is Denise Belil. I'm a serenity expert and positive intelligence specialist. And why do I call this show It's All Good? Well, it's mainly because of this cup. It's called It's All Good on it. And the reason why that came about is I was wanting to create this show, and I was sitting on the couch on a Saturday morning just relaxing and thinking about creating this show initially. And I was like, what am I going to call it? I wanted to do this show every Monday and having people coming and listening and learning new things. And then I decided to, I was drinking my tea. I was like, oh, it's all good. So that's why I've decided to call it It's All Good, because first, it's something I say all the time. Because regardless of what's happening in my life, I always decide to go, whether it's in the past, I can't change it. If it's in the future, I can't do anything about it. So that brings me back to the present. That brings me back to today, and that's why I call it It's All Good. And you know what's it all good also? Is my guest just popped in the back office. So that's super cool. So I'm going to introduce you to her, and her name is Farah Ismail. And she's actually, I think last time we talked, she said she was going to be in Spain, but she'll confirm whether she's in Spain or England. And she's a leadership facilitator, executive coach, founder of Interact Consulting. We Some of the thing we'll talk about today is disrupting and reimagining 2022. Don't we all need that? And not just 2022, but 2020, 2021, and then this year. There's a lot to reinvent here. And what are some of the mindset and skill set to make this happen? As you hear me talk a lot, it's all about mindset. So you can start by reimagining your life and unlock courage and confidence to take the next step in your leadership journey. So let me tell you a little bit more about her. Farah is an international recognized facilitator, coach, speaker, and founder of Interact Consulting. She inspires women entrepreneurs who find themselves frustrated and unfulfilled despite outward sign of success. When they work with her, they reimagine their business, crafting a lucrative purpose-driven enterprise that deliver more clarity, confidence, and connection and meaning. Having rebuilt our own life and business from scratch, after struggles through a couple of life-changing experiences, Farah knows exactly how to forge a new path towards a meaningful and abundant life and offer a client a proven blueprint of success. Here we go. So now I was going to introduce her, and she got up. So here she is. She's right there. We're going to have a good laugh on that. So let me bring her in, and let's have a little chat with Farah. And hello, how are you?
Hey, Denise, I'm doing great and I loved
Wonderful.
introduction. I want to
You're very
also
welcome. And
confess where
for
I
those that
am.
are listening, make sure that you like, comment, post any comment. We can see your comment live, so don't be shy to share anything that is here with us. So, Farah, welcome. I'm glad that you're here.
Thank you. I'm really excited to be here, Denise. It was wonderful meeting you and then getting to know all about your beautiful podcast. It's all good. And I think that just hit me right here
Mm,
because that's how I love to think. So I'm happy to
yeah.
be here. Thank you.
So tell me, are you in India, Spain, or England?
So I just finished being in Spain in this beautiful city of Valencia, and
Yeah.
I arrived in London yesterday. So I'm
Oh,
going to be
okay.
here for another week and a half, a
Oh,
couple of weeks.
wonderful.
I head home. Yeah,
Well, I'm glad that you were able to make it, even though with the transit and everything. So thank you so much. I appreciate that.
it's my pleasure. I'm really excited to
So,
be here today.
so tell us a little bit about you. So, what led you to start what you're doing as a coach and as a consultant for leadership?
Sure. Uh, well, I think it's very interesting because wherever you are, sometimes it's by design, sometimes um, it's by choice, and sometimes it just happens. So I think a couple of careers in my life have happened because they've happened to me, right? So I
Hmm.
think it's also the fact that for the last 15 years, I've been in this beautiful space of transforming lives through facilitation. And
Uh-huh.
I love that because I believe that facilitation is all about making things easy. And leadership is something that I am passionate about. So I really
Hmm.
enjoyed that until as we all needed to disrupt ourselves in 2020. And that's when I realized that I also have another modality in which I can help people achieve success, which was through coaching. And that's
Hmm.
how I decided to add coaching as well. I've been a coach for the last 10 years. I do coaching. Part of my learning interventions have coaching in it, but coaching became a big part of my identity in the last 2.5 years. So that's how it's happened. And I absolutely love the fact that I'm able to partner with my clients today in disrupting themselves. Yeah,
Mm. Yeah, that's great, and I love that. It's always an interesting journey of what led people to get into coaching and how they can help other people too, right? Like we often walk the walk, and then we say, "Hey, I can help others too."
absolutely. And I think you already spoke about it earlier. For me, it's been my personal journey. You know, we've all had so many roller coasters. Forget what we've all experienced globally, but I'm talking about in life. As leaders, as parents, as human beings, we have a lot of a lot of roller coasters that we go through, and I guess it was that the fact that I was able to just pause and look back and see what really helped me to get really deal with all that, and I discovered the fact that there's so much we can do to impact others' lives. If I can do it, why not someone else? So I guess that's another thing that really inspired me to take on coaching and see how I can help people to reimagine their life. Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. And how do you help your clients to start reimagining their life? So what would be like a if you have like a process that you take them through? So how would they go about to do that?
I think the first step I would say is about having a very clear vision, being acutely aware of what you want
Yeah.
and not what you don't want. So I guess that's where I start. And it's really even disrupting the way the kind of focus we have. And so it's not about what do I need to add in my in my toolkit. It's about what I have. So I think I first start by looking at what people have.
Mhm.
What are they great at? And I always believe that we have amazing talents and gifts which we don't pay any attention to. And of course, I really love people to have a very clear vision of where they want to go. So I think without that, the journey is not possible. So that would be the first step of
Mm.
really focusing on what you truly want and taking your attention away from all the things I don't want. It begins there, really.
Yeah, for sure. Like too often people are focusing on the things they don't want, right?
Mm.
And then the more you focus on something, the more you'll get of it, right? And that's the thing. Like if you instead of talking about, oh, I don't I want to lose weight, I want to I don't want to be poor, I want to, so the more I have a hard time saying it because I never say it. I was like, okay, what negative of the positive I say? But if you say, I want to be lighter, somebody had told me a couple weeks ago, instead of losing weight is, um, or gaining weight, it's like I'm gaining lightness. I love that.
I love that too. I
I'm
love it.
gaining lightness. I'm lighter. Like I thought it was a really cool way of saying it, right? But I want, instead of talking about the negative, say that, like, I don't want to be broke. I'm tired of being broke. Bring it on different language, right? Like I have enough money that I need. I want to increase my income. I want to, talk about more the positive, what you want, as opposed to what you
Sure.
don't want. And I think that makes such a difference in people's life when they start to see things this way.
You actually touched the nail on the, perfectly, because what you're talking about is the language we use. And it's
Hmm.
so important to actually change the language and the story we're telling ourselves. So I always think that it's, what's the new story? So we're so attached to the old story that we have
Mm.
learned to tell ourselves that it takes a lot to actually move into your new story. And I remember just a week ago when I was in Spain, there was this beautiful question that we all spent a little time on: is what's the story we're going to tell ourselves in 2022? And
Hmm.
just writing that, changing that, really helped us to feel it in our body and change all these, everything else that I wanted to just leave behind in Valencia. So it was such a fun thing. I kept saying, this backpack that I was carrying with all these things,
I'm
leaving
leaving
it,
it here.
I'm leaving it here. There's no way I'm going to carry
I
it
love
back.
that.
Yeah. And so what's in your backpack is the question. What are you carrying around with you?
Yeah.
And what are you willing to change? Which story are you? And it's all stories, right? Everything. This thing about, I want to be, um, what you want in life. Sometimes we actually tell these stories and we get so used to them that it becomes hard for us to look beyond it. So
Yeah.
I think that's what is required for disruption, for reimagining. It requires us to just focus on what is it that we're telling ourselves. And it's not about learning new things, it's about unlearning. It's about really doing that very well before we actually move ahead. And I think that clarity really helps you to have the courage and the confidence to
Hmm.
try new things. And there's one more thing I want to add here. It's so easy. Sometimes we say, oh, to do this, we need to be 100% in. Let's be 100% in. I cannot be 90% in. And my coach actually said, just be 1% better every day. That's all it requires.
Hmm.
Don't
Yeah.
even think about 100%, just 1%
Yeah.
better in your body, in your thinking, in your beliefs, in your vision, what you truly want. 1% is what makes the difference.
Because
And
we
I
keep
just
improving. We're on a path of improvement. We're on a path of moving towards our goals. And that makes a huge difference in someone's life.
Absolutely. I think it's exciting when you start thinking about what's possible. And one of my clients actually said, after working with me for a short time, she used a word that I was hoping I could say, add in my vocabulary. She said, I have become a possibilitarian because now
Oh.
I see possibilities. I'm moving away from obstacles and I see things as all possibilities. And that was a huge
Hmm.
shift. It was a
Yeah.
mindset shift that when you're able to see things differently, then how you actually lead after that changes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I often say with my clients, like, whenever there's an obstacle, there's one obstacle that gets a boulder that falls in the middle of the road, but there's so many ways to go around it. Like,
Yeah.
there's one boulder, there's one problem, but you can go above, you can go on the side, you can go on the other side, you can do a tunnel, you can, go through. There's like so many different ways you can resolve the one problem. So that's what creating possibilities in your life, that's how you can just expand your mind, open your mind to all the possibilities. Because when we walk around narrow minded and with visor that stop us from seeing what are the other possibilities, then we can't reimagine 2022, right? Because we're just so focused on the problem that we don't see all the solutions that are around. So I like your idea, and I really love your idea of the pack sack also, with
Yeah.
carrying all that burden and carrying all of that, and just let it go. Just, I have a little exercise that I have my clients do sometime, and it's basically what you describe in another way, but is to write all the things that you don't want in your life anymore. Like if you have a problem that has been bugging you for a while, write it all up, like write it on paper and tell the whole thing, the negative thing, the mindset and the trouble and the cries and the hurt and all. And then on another piece of paper, write down how you want to be now, like the new you. What would be the new you, the imagine the reinvented you, and what would you like it to look like? And then have that person write it all out and what I would love it to be like and all. And then take the first piece of paper and thank the story for what it has been until now. You must have been with me because you were important, and do a little ceremony and then burn the paper and send it into
Mm.
the ether and say thank you, you helped me, now it's I don't need you anymore. And then you conserve the new story, and if you need to repeat it and reread it several times, you do that. And whenever you go back to that little problem, and I want to read my new story, and then you create new neurological pathway in your brain. So that's the same idea of you with the pack sack. I love that.
And I love what you're saying because, and I see the power, something what you're saying, the power of writing,
Hmm.
journaling. I cannot estimate. I don't think we should underestimate the power of writing it down,
Yeah,
because when that's when you're doing the work. That's when you're
yeah,
really putting your pen and all the ideas that are in your head, you're putting it down
yeah,
on paper. And the moment you leave that there, that's when you're able to really walk into that identity you want to create. And I just want to add one more thing. You said, when you're looking at a problem, there are different ways to solve it.
hmm,
And I've done a lot of work of Brené Brown, and she says that while there are different ways to deal with this, you have to go through it. You
hmm,
can't avoid, you want to avoid how long can you take shortcuts or take the side road or
yeah,
avoid it.
yeah,
She says that you have to go through the messy middle.
yeah.
And so that is where the vulnerability comes in. That's where you
Mhm.
do the work of looking at where are you right now and why is this. And so you disrupt
I
yourself.
like that. Yeah.
You change the questions. You start focusing on, what are you trying to change for yourself, but you go through it. You don't avoid it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. For sure.
I did that for a long
Go through
time.
it.
No, for the long time I avoided it.
Oh yeah.
it
Yeah. Yeah.
so there was a big part of my life when I wasn't totally numbed it. I was superb at it, very very good of numbing, not thinking about it, focusing on other things. And then I realized at one point that something's not right. I am moving ahead, but there's something that's not allowing me to be whole and complete. And i, I realized, and it happened in the pandemic. I was in this beautiful um, Zoom room with some strangers, some new friends I met in a conversation in Thailand. Can you imagine? And we were just talking about something and it hit me. And I realized that I was just avoiding it. And
Hmm.
when I changed everything at that point, something that I was avoiding. So I feel that the power today is, if I really want to disrupt myself, I need to actually do the work. I need to
Yeah.
actually hold the hand of someone to do it. I don't need to do it alone. You
Yeah.
know, you're not meant
Well,
to do this thing.
that's the part of vulnerability, right? Like saying, "Hey, it's tough right now. Can you help me?" Right? Being able to ask for help it's huge. often people, and myself included, it's like, ah, I can do it on my own. I don't need help, right? But in reality, there's times where I do ask for help, and hey, surprise,
Yeah.
I move so much further, because then I have people that can help me. And that's why we have coaches, right? Like I have like three coaches right now, that helps me in different area of my life. And
Absolutely. That's why you
yeah,
have a coach. You can find a mentor. You can find an
yeah.
accountability buddy. But you can reach out. You can reach out to someone, somebody
Hmm.
who's your compassionate buddy. Who's there to just be there with you and guide you along. Yeah.
Mm. You mentioned to me, I remember you told me about, you were fascinated about strength. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, and when I think about strengths, I yeah, I remember I did something called the Strength Finder, the Gallup Strength Finder. So
Yeah.
I usually help my clients to discover their strengths as well, because we pay so much attention to all the things we want to improve. I find that we have our gifts. So
Hmm.
one of the strengths of that really opened my eyes, and I realized that it was a natural side of me, was I'm a maximizer, and that
Okay.
is someone who's like a diver who goes down diving for pearls, and I
Yeah.
would do whatever it is to find the pearl. All right. So and I felt that when I realized that's really who I am. And through all my roller coasters, I always looked ahead. I looked at what was ahead of me, what I could take from what I have, and really look at what I have around me. And I felt that that's the way I lead, that's the way I parent, that's the way I coach, I build relationships. And I find that strengths are fascinating. And it's important
Hmm.
for someone to show a mirror, because we lose sight of it so fast that then we are constantly trying to catch up with new things. But if I'm able to leverage what I have,
Yeah.
um, I know that I can do wonders. So I feel that that's an important thing to focus on. Um, if we lose the way, that's the most simple thing you can do, is just go back and look at what really helped you, what helped you to bounce forward, and just pick up all those patterns, and you will find those strengths that really have served you, and you can just tap into that and deal with future challenges. So I believe that that's another way in which you can really change the story you're telling yourself as well.
Hmm. Yeah, that's very interesting, because it's too often, like, I like the idea of the story we're telling ourselves, because for me, I call it also like post it, right? We write, oh, I'm not good enough, and I put a post it. I'm too fat, and I put a post it. Or I'm not good at sales, then you put a post it, and what you see when you look in the mirror is like, I'm not good enough, I'm too fat, I'm not good at sales. So you kind of reflect back, and it's all in our minds, right? But we reflect back these attitude and this way of being. And it's important to pay attention to that, and to peel those off, to remove those limiting beliefs that stops us from being, reimagining ourselves. It stops us
Yeah.
from, we're stuck in the hamster wheel of every day. Oh, I can't do this, I'm not strong enough. Or I've talked to a divorce coach last week, and she was, but I've talked to her several times, and she was saying that it's not like, often women feel like if they divorce, that's the end of their life, because they're what am I without the couple, right? Like, what am I without my
Mhm.
husband? So that's a limiting belief. Like, there's a lot of strength in us women and all that. So there's so much about things we tell ourselves that are not true.
I think you touched a very important point, which I might want to add here, if that's okay.
Of course, of course.
You talked about talking to this divorce coach.
Coach.
It's very interesting. There is someone like that. So years ago, in like 2006, is when I needed some help like that, and I
Mm,
couldn't find it. Probably I wasn't looking for it, and so when I look at what's available today, I believe that there is so much around us, abundance of
Yeah.
support, of you know, opportunities, that I think we need to really be grateful that we have um, immense ways in which we can get out of challenges. And
Yeah.
this is really interesting because in the past, I don't remember how I dealt with the situation. And I
Yeah.
guess
Yeah.
that's, for a long time, I stayed stuck, not knowing what to
Yeah.
do, wondering that I had no other choice. And I was looking at, as you said, I was looking at the world like this. And I did slowly,
Open your
understand,
visor. Yeah.
open my visor. And of course you need somebody or something that inspires you. And for me it was not just my family, but I also had this opportunity to experience the work of courage work of Brené Brown. And till
Mm-hmm.
then I was looking at it like, it's this beautiful book called Dare to Lead.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I was able to do the work on myself while I was creating something for others, that's when I was able to change my story. That's when I changed
Yes.
the story of what I was believing about my divorce, what I was believing about um, being a single parent and starting my life from scratch. I was seriously thinking that I had lost something,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
I realized that I had not lost something. For me, it was transformational. It was something that
Yeah.
had changed. And so it was just a reframing of what I was telling myself. And that really helped me to really unlock courage for myself and do the things I wanted to do. And and I think and I think that's what it really requires today. Life is not going to be easy. We're going to be experiencing
We have.
so many challenges. So,
Absolutely. We need to be able to step up to the plate. Like I don't know if you know if you say that in India, but in the world of baseball, we tell like step up to the plate and go and hit the ball and play, right? And which mean that you got to get yourself ready. You got to not be afraid to face your challenge in order to make some changes, because the more with well, one situation is often people will think that, oh, only me suffers this way,
mm,
right? I'm the only one like that, like nobody can help me because I'm so special, in a way, like in a negative way, like I'm so special, I'm nobody can help me because only nobody knows what I'm going through. And once you break down that saying in your head that you're the only one, you're the worst case scenario that happens. But then when you start to look around and see that it's part of life, and there's a lot of other people that have been going through and came out, and a lot of people are going through right now. And once you open your mind to that, and once you stop feeling that you're the worst case scenario, that's a step towards healing, that's a step towards making the changes that you need to do. And I think it's just awareness, right?
I love what you're saying. And besides all these things we've talked, I want to add that one extra
Absolutely.
element. That element is actually the key. From that space is when you have the courage to take a risk. And when we started 2022, I'm part of a beautiful women's community. And one of the things we started talking about is disruption, falling in
Mm.
love with disruption in 2022. And it was like a swan taking to water. The moment heard that, I made that my mantra. I said, oh, in 2022, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to fall in love with disruption. And that is really about not just, um, it's changing the status quo. And disruption is not just about knowing what's different or unlearning and learning something new. It's about really changing the story. And I discovered that you know it's usually not a lack of intent, a lack of courage. It's really about changing, um, getting outside my comfort zone, and so taking
Mhm.
a risk. And disruption really requires for me to try something I've never tried before. So this
Yeah.
year we've already like for instance have gone halfway in the year, that's really what I'm doing. And why I'm here today in London and Spain is also because I'm disrupting all the
Hmm.
stories I was telling myself that this is the way I will run my business, has changed because I know that what do I truly want? I want to have a lifestyle. I want to travel when I'm working. I want to be able to do what I truly love. I want to be speaking. Now, in the past, I never ever saw myself as a speaker. I never
Yeah,
saw
yeah.
myself as someone who'll speak at a conference, as a summit. But it's about really pushing myself outside that beautiful comfort zone that I was. And I think the moment you focus on something and believe in yourself, and of course have a little support, there's no need for perfection. You just move on. You just believe that you can do it.
And the
And
thing
that,
is that people that are watching us,
Mhm.
whether it's the people around you in your family, whether it's people that you work with, like they don't want to see perfection, because then they think that it's inaccessible, right?
Yeah,
But if they see vulnerability, if they see weakness a little bit, not like wimping weakness, but like showing that, yeah, I can make a mistake too, I'm not perfect. And for me, like, I laugh at myself all the time, whenever I do mistake, and I'm like, uh-oh, and but then it shows that I'm human. It shows that I can, do a lot of stuff, and I can do mistake too, and I move on. I don't let myself stop. So that's important with what you were saying, especially like not to dare to do things even though it's not perfect, because then you learn, you get better, regardless of what that is, speaking on stage, speaking on summit, or even just making sales for those that are salespeople or whatever. But to dare to fail, but dare to dream and dare to lead your life, right?
and dare to fail. I think recently I was reading about, I don't know if you've read about this book on regrets by Daniel Pink. And
Mm-hmm.
I find it fascinating. He talks about uh, how regrets are also ways in which you can take action. You know, regrets are great because you can learn from them. The moment you look at regret and say that I can never do that, that is really not allowing you to move forward. And he spoke about a very interesting exercise, which you might like, is to actually do a failure resume. You know, just write a resume which is all about your failures. And can you imagine the kind of courage you need and to sit and write that? I must say I
Mm-hmm.
haven't done it, but that's something on my plate. I want to see what it feels like to write about all my failures. And creating that resume really allows you to not just look at it, but also look at what it really has helped you and what's the learning from that. And
Mm-hmm.
it's very powerful when we talk about failures and making mistakes, because sometimes we look at it as something we want to avoid. But I
Yeah.
think it should be something we should encourage, because that's what helps me. That's where the growth happens.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we can, by acknowledging our failure and the fact that we are where we are today, it
Mm.
shows that if you look at something you fell at 5 years ago and you surpass it at some point, you even though you might not have succeeded at that event or that task, but you made it through, you're still here, you're still breathing and enjoying life and being happy. And it shows that there's always a way. Even though something doesn't work today, it's not the end of the world. There's no it's not a question of, oh, I'm ruined forever because of that. My reputation is ruined, or regardless of what that is, right? You can move on, you can move forward, and things will change and things will get better, and then you will fall again, and then you'll get back up, and you keep going. And I think it's very important to take our failure as learning experience. Where am I going to move forward to, and how
Yeah.
am I going to change my life?
Yeah, and I think that's what is the true, when you look at leaders who you inspire you, it's leaders who are able to, um, just be courageous to to share this, to be open, to be transparent, to be vulnerable, and then someone who's hiding it, who's trying to be perfect. So I guess we really need the humanness to come out, the heart-centered conversations to happen.
Yeah.
That's when we're able to move into spaces when we can be there for others as well. So yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoy those experiences.
That's fantastic. So, wow, look at the time. It's already been 35 minutes.
No, every time I've heard you, I was listening to all your, quite a few of your podcast, previous podcasts, and I felt there was something common. It's the way, especially the way you think and your attitude to things. So I felt there was a synergy. And I guess that's what's brought us together because we
Mhm.
found something that's really common in the way
Absolutely.
we deal with life. And
Yeah, yeah. I
our
was talking
purpose.
to a friend of mine yesterday, and I was telling her that I've been thinking this way for over 20 years, like really looking into when I plunged into emotional intelligence 25 years ago. And I really decided at that time that I needed to change the way I would look at myself and look at my life. And when I at that time, it was emotional intelligence was very popular with Daniel Goldman and all that. But I learned more than, just what he says in his book. I went and read other book, and that totally transformed my life and the way that I act today. So it's not something like when we tell people you got like even like leaving the pack sack, in Spain and all that. Well,
Yeah.
there's still a string sometime that get attached, but that's okay. You got to cut it back, and even if it springs back, you cut it back, and it's a process, and it's not to give up. It's to keep moving forward, and even if what you reimagine for your life right now doesn't happen overnight, because the way your life is today didn't happen overnight. So you got to give yourself the strength to move forward and to keep moving forward. And I think that's what makes a big difference when people really decide to take the action and to move forward no matter what.
And a lot of people think that I've heard, I used to say this before, that it all starts with action. Even if it's a small thing, it starts with that small act, that action. But then I figured that there's one more layer before that, and that is a decision. I
Hmm.
believe that I need to first decide I want this.
Yeah.
So it starts with a decision, and that's when the action happens. So
Yeah.
uh, I guess it's really about how I see it. It's all about not just it's your mindset, it's skill sets, it's your heart set. It's really about what are you looking at, what kind of questions you're asking yourself this year, um, and I think it's very liberating when you ask yourself questions, which are different questions. And then,
Mm.
when I told you about the backpack,
Yeah.
I felt very light just by saying, I'm not taking this. And I felt
Wonderful.
so empowered that I
Yeah.
said, watch out. Here's Farah who's left everything back in Valencia. And let's see what I can, what I choose for myself, And
Yeah.
so I'm constantly looking at ways I can innovate. And I guess that's the way in which we can progress and enjoy. And life is an adventure, and just really
Yeah.
enjoy your life because yeah, that's the only way I
Wonderful.
can. Yeah.
So, Farah, if there's people that want to know more about you, so how would they reach you? And I'll put the information in the chat, in the comments. So they can reach you on LinkedIn, I think.
Oh, yes. I'd love to hear from anyone who's watching and anyone who's watching this replay. Feel free to say hello to me. I love connecting with you to hear your stories as well. So you can get in touch with me on LinkedIn. You could say hi to me on my email. So you can find that on LinkedIn as well. But that's the fastest way to meet me. Yeah.
Wonderful. And you have a book to share with people, right? Tell me a little bit about that book.
Yeah, so I was thinking about what can I offer today, and I was thinking I recently was part of a collaboration book. March 29th was when the book was launched, and it was a very, very interesting project that I was part of. It was a collaboration book. While I
Hmm.
was thinking of writing a book, I felt this was my first step of really looking at what writing really means. So this book is called. It's right next to me. I got a few
Oh,
copies for my friends and my family. So the author copies. It's called The Book I Read.
yes. Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
And this was a collaboration book that I was part of, which was a story of the book that transformed your life. So
Mm.
we are 50 authors who wrote in this book, and I was one of them. I wrote chapter 15. In being vulnerable, I found my strength. And it's about a book that changed my life. And I want to say that it's less than 15 minutes for you to read because it's a everybody had a chapter of 1,000 words. So that's also
Hmm.
very interesting to write your transformation story in 1,000 words. So I think if you really want to continue getting inspired from our talk, what
Wonderful.
Denise and I shared today about disruption, you could get some ideas from this book as well. And of
Oh,
course,
that'd be great.
I'd love to know what you thought of it and stay connected with me.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here today. And
Thank you, Denise.
and
It
on to,
was a pleasure.
oh, my pleasure too. So I'll put you in the back for a second. I'll be right back with you. And thank you so much for listening, listeners. And oh, hi, Mary Rain. It's good that you're here. So I'm glad that there's a few people that listen too. And if you watch this on YouTube, please subscribe and click the little bell so that you're being notified every time I put a video on. And I'm so happy to be here every week. Today was episode 39, I think. So I've been doing this for 39 Mondays. And it's always a pleasure to have amazing guests coming to my platform and sharing their knowledge with you. So, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, take care and be kind to one another. Goodbye.